Boom, we are live. Welcome to the Average J's podcast. This is Jay, Justin Ruiz.
And this is Jay Jeremy Francois.
So we are back at it again, everyone. This is episode 3, like I said before. And, we're just coming at you with the slice of life, the facts, the fun stuff, the heavy stuff, all the gushy stuff in the middle, all wrapped around in a nice, sugary caramel coating. with
Oh,
just a dot with just a dollop of sea salt. You always gotta
I like
have the
that.
salt with the sugar.
I like that. I like that. Kosher, right? Kosher.
Yeah, of course. What? We're
Yeah.
not kosher. We gotta be kosher for everything.
As you were describing the sugary candy, I was like, we don't want to give people jawbreakers. Too hard. We
Too
gotta
hard. We need to
bring them
have
in.
that nice shell, right? But on the
Mm,
inside, mushy gushy, little bit of nuts, maybe some toffee in there. But
mm.
we gotta have the complete package, sweet
It's
with just a teeny bit of Salt Bay pinch.
just little salt bay pinch. When you say that
Yeah.
soft thing, is it nougat? I know that's one of your favorite words.
Ooh, it is nougat. You're
It's
right,
nougat.
nougat. We're very nougaty.
I like that nougaty.
So, Jay,
Yeah, man.
Jay, if
Shit.
you wanna roll out the first thing item on our list here.
Yeah, I just want to talk about something real for a second. Um, and it's been in my mind for a long time. I'm pretty sure for everyone. But Texas law on the abortion. Yeah, I have so many things I just want to like vomit out and just splurge out and be like, this. Obviously, first and foremost, it's wrong. I think it's wrong. This is not a side thing.
Yeah.
Um, it's weird. Like I just to give you like a blip of a little anecdote. I had a conversation with my fiance. I sat there one random day, it just popped into my brain like a Big Bang Theory. Um, why do women pay for all these? Uh, you know, they're what do you call those the women toiletries? It's like
Are
blanking.
you talking like birth control and stuff like that?
Yeah, all that birth controls, pads, all this something that they're born with.
So like
They have
feminine
a
products, you mean?
yeah, and I forget what country in Europe, and I want to say most countries, but there's a specific country I remember reading. It's probably something like Netherlands or something like that, where these products are given to the women for free.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I thought to myself, why is that not a thing? It's to me, it's like a big, f bomb to a woman in the United States saying like, yeah, you got to pay for this because you're born a woman, and that it's just so weird to me, and
Well, I
and
guess
not weird, it's just messed up.
yeah,
But
no.
yeah,
Before we dissect, I guess that part, why don't you give like a quick little rundown of the actual law? Like what are they saying?
so from my understanding of it, it's
Hmm.
basically you can't abort your baby no matter what, no matter how that person got pregnant or whatever. I don't know the nuances on like how many months and stuff like that. I just to me, like, I remember hearing about it, I was like, wow, this is actually happening. But one thing I saw AOC doing an interview on CNN, and I forget, the anchor was asking her like, what did you think this guy said uh, about the abortion, about like rape and all that? And his stance, not verbatim, is like, oh, we're trying to get all the rapists off the street so we have no more rape. And I thought that was just the most stupidest thing you can say, because rape is not creatures of the night, you know. Um,
Yeah, it's
it's
not like
just
it's
so
a
weird.
pest problem. Like
Yeah, that, like I listened to that and I was just like, that is the most dumb thing to say, especially coming from a man. And I don't want to sound like woke or anything, but it's the best term you can say. We're supposed to be awakened to this because
yeah,
God, he's not a woman. He doesn't know these things.
yeah.
And from my understanding, when it comes to rape and and borderline, well, not borderline, but there's it what was it, she was saying something about rape is coming from people that especially even family members, because people that are victims, they're not going to know that, they're not going to say things, because no one's going to believe them.
Yeah.
And I know
Well, I
someone
mean,
in my
they're
family.
scared,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I know someone in my family, not to disclose who that person is, wouldn't tell their parent because it's like, and their parents old head, so they're gonna be like, oh, why didn't you say anything? Like not even caring about that person's mental health. So that's just another layer on top of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to get that out there. It's just it's the like the word selfish comes into mind. Like it's just so dumb. Like why are just breaking down, why are men putting laws on women's bodies? I just think it's dumb. But yeah.
Yeah, so from what I know about it, I don't know too much, but I do know like I believe the actual like statute was that
Mhm.
it can't get aborted after 6 weeks. So
Yes, I remember.
so in 6 weeks, I mean, it's pretty common for women not even to know. So they might not even know what the issue is, or maybe not the issue, but what's going on with their bodies, and then they find out, and
Exactly.
it's like, oh, well, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And you know, I agree. I don't think it's fair. It's especially in those cases where like, well, one, I just don't think random people should be policing other people's bodies. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And
Agreed.
two, you have those cases of like, you know, there are victims. There are victims of some very like heinous crimes out there, and now they're stuck with this reminder, and they didn't ask for that, and that's not fair. I mean,
Exactly.
listen, to me, I don't think that's fair for them to have to relive that pain if they don't want to. um it's a loaded topic. It always has been, it always will be. But the fact that they're really trying to, like I said, just police these women's bodies, like, it's not fair. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why put this, what was the point of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
why take something away from someone else? Like, why are you taking away their I mean, an aspect of their life? Really, you're kind of pushing on them this massive responsibility, and for them
Exactly.
to figure it out, and that's not fair. It's like, not to compare like humans to animals, but that would be if you said like, I couldn't return like a guinea pig that I bought, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, what do you mean? Like, what? Why can't
Yeah.
I? It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
you've had it for 6 weeks. We don't take animals that are older than 6 weeks, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay. Again, not I know the situations are very different, but just the main, I guess, thought being the same of like,
Yeah.
that's you shouldn't be saddled with that, especially since I think raising a child is an extreme responsibility, right? So
Hundred
like,
percent.
why would you? I mean, listen, we already have enough families that are broken, and unfortunately, like, children who don't ask to be put in these situations are put in these situations in broken households, and families that don't care and don't want them. And there's so much hurt brought on
Hmm.
by very bad decisions, right? So why make it even harder, right? Why make those decisions even worse? Like, why make that process that much worse? I don't know. I don't get it. And I think you're right. Like, that whole thing of like making women pay for like feminine hygiene products and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why? That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. That would be like, I don't know. It's the messed up part is that, we're capitalists. Like, we're a capitalistic country, so everything, it goes to the almighty dollar. Like, we want everyone to pay for everything and make as much money as possible, and it's not great.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Like it's still done. It's like when you sit and like whoever's listening, like sit and think about that. It's just like think of something you do every day. It's like, for example, like let's say whoever's listening plays basketball or you know, loves to write. You have to pay to write. You have to pay to play basketball. You have to pay to paint something because that's your skill. Like it's coming from you, but you have to pay to do that. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking of. It's like me sitting here, I'm like, damn, I want to write a book, but I don't want to pay this fee. It's just so
Yeah.
weird. It's dumb, right? But then when because growing up, my 28 years, almost coming on 29, it's like it just now hit me. Like it hit me like last year's, but it's like it's just now hitting me. Like why are they paying for this? But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a thing, and I get the train of thought that you have. It's like if it's coming from you, why should you have to pay to get it out? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So in your kind of like in your comparison, being like with the creativity, like what if you had to pay a fee to literally exercise something out of your own body, right?
Mm.
So we shouldn't have to pay a fee to, I don't know, keep our bodies okay, you know? I mean, but again, it's messed up, and it goes with capitalism. You know,
Yeah.
we want to make a dollar off of everything, and I mean, our healthcare system, it's no secret, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, but hopefully, as we go on, we can. I think a lot of it comes down to respect. I don't
Hmm.
think that many people respect others, and a lot of people try and push things on other people, and I don't think that's correct. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, this is the land of the free, right? And everyone likes to say, "Oh, don't mess with my freedoms." But then it's like, okay, so if you're gonna force me to do this, then what? How are you gonna help me? You know,
Yeah.
there's that aspect of it of like, okay, if if it's a conservative issue and you truly, want to protect the right of life,
Mm.
totally understand. There's two sides of the aisle, right? There's pro-choice, pro-life. Okay, so if you happen to be pro-life, how are you going to help me here?
Mm.
Okay, if you want this baby to live, okay, fine. So what services are you going to give me? How are you going to be able to make sure that I stay healthy and this child stays healthy and is then put into a system that works?
Yep.
Which
Responsibility.
is, yeah, it's somebody has to be responsible for it, especially if it's being forced. So
Exactly.
I mean, listen, I'm not akin to like abortion. I'm not like super like for it. Like everyone should be getting one every other day.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think love and sex is a responsibility, and as an adult, listen, you takes two to tango, and if the tango ends up being three, then I mean, you got a
Okay.
responsibility. But
Exactly.
there are situations where I think it warrants it, and it's just not fair to for anyone. I mean, especially women. Like, you got to remember all this stuff is, I think, archaic and like kind of brought back from like back in the day where people thought period was like
Yeah.
you're dirty and you're
Yeah.
tainted and like you got to go away for a week until you're better. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stems from that era of like mentality when it comes to it. So it's unfortunate. It is.
Yeah. It's still with us in our DNA. And but the good thing is, being the speck in this almighty universe, we're progressing, even though in
Yeah.
our eyes it doesn't seem like it. But I know long after my time, after I'm 117, you know, we're still going forward. We're progressing. So,
Yeah. That's the good part. It doesn't happen in leaps and bounds. It happens in baby steps. So if
mm,
you go, hindsight is also 2020. So when you're looking backwards, obviously we're at a way better point now than we ever were. But
mm,
to your point, like I want to be at an even better point, and I know that we'll get there. It's just the growing pains and the process. It sucks being in the middle of it.
yeah,
It's not like you. It's not like the beginning or the end where you can kind of see either end. It's You're right in the thick of it, and it's kind of hard
yeah,
to see past like what's right in front of you.
yeah, 100% agreed.
Yeah. So, well, exiting that kind of heavier note, um, let's talk about something very, very nice and that I'm sure rocked the world of millennials. And I saw
Mm.
this a billion times after it dropped. Like it was everywhere. Erica came home and she was like, "Oh, did you see the video?" And I was like, "How did I not? Like,
Yeah,
how could I have avoided it?" It was literally shotgunned everywhere, and for good reason. I loved it.
yeah,
And the video I'm talking about is obviously Steve from Blue's Clues coming back and repping the set. He came back for the millennials and he was like, "Listen, guys, I know things are crazy. I'm sorry I went away so abruptly, but you know what? 25 years later, I still care about you." I still think that we're best friends, and I want to let you know that I'm here, we're here, we're still doing good." And he wrapped it up, and he was saying, he was like, "Whatever you're doing, you look great." So it
Yeah.
was just a super nice, very awesome little positive message for, like I said, the younger millennials that kind of grew up seeing that. And I mean, I know I don't think I really watched Blue's Clues. Like that wasn't like, I think I was a little older already,
Yeah. I was gonna ask you that.
but
I
I
yeah.
remember seeing it.
Like, did
And I
you
remember
watch a full episode?
Yeah, I'm sure I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like I said, I think I was like at the cusp, so I was like aging out when
Mm-hmm.
that stuff was coming, right? But I was aware of it. I watched Nickelodeon, so I always saw the commercials and stuff, and I definitely watched a couple of episodes. Like I'm not gonna like the first year was out, I definitely watched a decent amount of it. And then I had a younger sister, and she really grew up with that. So she's 4 years, almost 5 years behind me. So she grew up with that. So I definitely was exposed. And, it was just great. It was a great, awesome little tidbit of him just being like, "Hey guys, I know it sucks right now, and I know a lot of things are crazy." He even touched on like student loans, which I
Yeah,
thought were
I
really
love
funny.
that. I loved it.
I thought that
Um,
was so
I
funny.
thought it was funny too, but I really thought like that was like he's talking to the people that are like got them loans, and
Yeah,
just to touch on that too, because it's not there are older people and there are a lot of people younger than us that didn't watch Blue's Clues that have student loans, and what I'm trying to get to is just today actually I saw someone or a meme saying Steve wasn't talking to anyone born after 97. But I'm like, you don't want to exclude people. Like, I get it. It's funny, but I'm like, you don't want to, he's talking to everyone. Like, anyone scrolling through TikTok, uh, IG, that he's talking to you.
I think
You're not excluded.
yeah, no, I don't think it should be an exclusionary thing. I know it's a funny meme or whatever,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think he was just addressing everyone, just
exactly.
everyone having a rough time, everyone that's going through this. The pandemic hasn't been fun. Everyone's always a sucker for nostalgia, also. So I don't know
Hmm.
if you saw, but that was like, so all three of the Blues Clues hosts like
Yes,
did a video together, and that was like
yes,
part of that campaign. So everyone's just a sucker for it. Everyone loves it. Everyone's like down with it. And it's just nice to have those like affirming words. And I don't know if you know or remember this, but it kind of reminded me back in the day, when unfortunately we went through September 11th, and
yeah,
Mr. Rogers did a special broadcast to
mm,
kids.
yeah,
So his show had been off the air for a number of years. He was retired, but he felt so compelled because of what was happening to address. I mean, really, it's like the phrase I think is akin to like children of all ages, right?
yes,
So from 0 to 99, type deal. Um, but he felt the need to address it because some kids just don't know how to address those feelings. They don't know
yeah,
how to tackle it. And I think this was obviously not the same deal because we didn't go through like a terrorist event, but
yeah,
it's we're going through another hard time of of our lives right now in the country's life. And that's what it really reminded me of, that. And I was like, oh, you know what, like, it's a guy seeing what's going on and wanting to let people know, just, hey, I'm here, you're here. I didn't forget about you. Somebody out there cares. And I want you
yeah,
to know it'll get better. Like, we will get better, you know?
yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. I was happy that like graced my timeline the other day.
Mhm. Yeah, I like that you brought that up because now that I think about it, I remember like hearing snippets about the Mr. Rogers thing. I was like, yeah, it's very akin to that, especially now. We definitely need it. Um, yeah, because when I first saw it, I was just like, yeah, like I'm all right. Like, not I don't want to say like I'm good. Forget those guys that are doing bad, but I'm like I'm good. I'm in a good place. Like I can
Yeah.
be better, and hopefully one day I can get to that place too and be like, inspire people. Like, yo, come on, like we're in this together. And the one thing about like him and the one thing about him and the pandemic, it's still kind of like we're all in this together, and that's what I liked about it. Like I didn't feel left out. Everyone posting online, I'm like, you saw it too, and you saw it. We all feel the same way. We feel that nostalgia tinge or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it made me take a deep breath, and I was like,
Yeah, it was like a nice like pause, right? It was
yeah,
kind of like, you know what? Stop thinking about all the crazy stuff. Stop worrying about what's going on. Just listen to my voice and chill. And I mean, honestly speaking, I don't think we're on that level by any means, but
mm,
I want that to be our show, right? Like it's like
yeah,
a nice little respite for everyone to just kind of like turn their brains off,
yeah.
turn their brains off and chill, you know. And
You know what?
I think
uh,
Steve did that.
yeah, he definitely did. When you said that, I just immediately what popped in my brain. It's kind of funny. I want our show to be like the end of an '80s cartoon where we just like inspire kids, like don't litter, go recycle, like Captain Planet or like
Yep.
GI Joe. But yeah, I want it to be
You
like that.
can be a hero too.
Yeah,
Yeah. hmm maybe you know what, for the video, for like the VOD people that one day we'll be watching, maybe we'll start doing that. We'll just make little skits or little like end clips of us like with a super positive message,
yeah.
like
It's like over the
cut
top,
open a milk carton, put soil in it, and plant a bean, and you have a little tree. The more you
like
know.
like Zoom, just doing arts and
Yeah.
crafts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with it.
Yep. We're gonna try and do that as we as we like evolve. We're gonna
Just do
start
like
putting like super, what is it? Saturday morning. No, what was it?
which one?
No, it was afternoon specials.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
We're gonna
yes.
have like an afternoon special. Like
Like yeah, let's make a rocket with
tidbit.
baking soda and stuff.
Yep. We're gonna have like a little learning point
Yeah,
at the
for
end.
all ages. You're gonna be like 47, and you're still gonna learn something new.
Yeah. We'll build the paper mache volcano. We'll do, like I said, the planter with the little bean and the milk carton. We got to find some other like cliche ones, but
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll work our way there. We'll have a guest too, doing some
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll
Like
try and get Bill Nye if he's still alive by the time we get famous.
he will always be, he'll be down for it.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sure
I
he
feel
will.
like he'd be like, oh, I just found this little cute podcast, and then just our
hmm
like
hmm
numbers skyrocket.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping, that because of this new idea that we just had, this
Yes.
little like learning segment at the end, Bill Nye will discover us and just rocket us to the moon, and we'll do a little skit with him.
Not to go too off in a tangent, but we get wow, I'm just blanking on his name. He's friends with Bill Nye too.
Are you talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Thank you. I knew it started
Yeah.
with an N. I was like,
They're
yes,
like best friends, right? Like
yeah,
technically?
I'm 100%. But yes, they both need to be on the show, and we
I
could
would
just
love that.
talk wonders of the world.
I would just sit there with my mouth open. Like I'd just be like,
And just nod to everything they're
yeah,
saying.
I'd just be like, I understand. I'd be like the meme of Kel from Good Burger, like, I know some of these words.
We're talking about science and stuff.
I have one of Neil deGrasse Tyson's books, Astrophysics for People in a
Ooh.
Hurry. It's a good book. It's definitely dense. It's super like
It's
it's
dense for on the go.
no. So here's
Oh,
what I mean. It's like, so it's a small paperback, but like
okay.
it's so like information
Uh,
dense.
oh
So
my
like
god.
it definitely breaks it down to where it's digestible, but it's like it's a lot. Like you're learning like astrophysics. Like yeah, it's dumbed down, but like it's still astrophysics.
Okay.
Like it's a lot.
I
But
want that book.
it's cool. I can lend it to you.
No, for
If
sure.
I can find it. I don't even know where it is right now.
No
But
rush.
um yeah. So talking about, I guess, pop culture videos and stuff like that, let's kind of slide into the next thing here. And I wanted to talk about, for the one of the first times in recent memory, I'm actually like on par with the pop culture, and I went and I saw Shang-Chi.
That was
I'm not.
surprising.
Yeah, I'm not waiting. I saw it opening weekend too. Like I'm not
Yes.
waiting. I'm not waiting a year or two to see it. So I saw it opening weekend. Another nice little rest from the world. It was fantastic. So before I get into like what I loved about it and everything, I went with some friends along with my wife, and what bothered me the most about
Mm,
this, let's call it adventure,
hmm.
right? Just give it some weight about this journey, was that my wife did not earn it. At the
What
end of
is?
that movie, she was like, "Oh man, that was a great movie." And if you know my wife, she's not into the nerd stuff, and she's barely seen any Marvel movies. We're still
Ah,
making our way through it. And she turned around and was like, "This was a fantastic movie." And I was like, "You don't get to say that." I was like,
yeah.
"You know how long it took us to get here?" I was like,
2008, baby.
and even before then, Spider-Man 3, both Fantastic Fours, like
Oh, you
you
trying to take her back before the
yeah, like
MCU?
you think you have the right to tell me this, let alone
Just
the
take her.
MCU stuff. Like
Just take
you
her to Blade.
yeah, Blade, like you think this is good? You didn't earn this. This was fantastic. I sat here and I got a miracle washed over my face.
Just
You know the
waterfalls.
things we had to do. You remember Daredevil? You remember that
Ugh,
movie?
ugh.
He was
It's
in
like
a
saying
leather
Voldemort.
suit. Yeah, he
Ugh.
was in a leather suit. Leather. He can't jump
Leather,
around in
leather,
that.
leather, leather.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather. Yeah, so
Yeah, you
he did
can't do
that.
that. Realistically, can't.
So anyway,
Yes.
Deadpool, the first one, remember that in
Yeah.
Wolverine? We went through that. We had to go through that. So we earned this. I
Oh, you
earned
mean
this
Deadpool
movie.
in Wolverine? Yes, yes. We
Yeah,
went
in
through. Yes,
Wolverine, that one. You remember
that
he had
horrible
like
thing.
Cyclops vision, mouth sewn shut, the one big sword claw. I earned Shang-Chi. I've spent
Yes.
money, hundreds of pounds, thousands of
I
dollars
think you
on
could have
movie
paid off your
tickets.
loans.
No, probably movie tickets, memorabilia, clothing,
Oh
video
God,
games,
just taking me through the
cartoons.
times.
I earned that. I earned it. And she just had it so
Just give it to
easily.
her.
Yeah, it was just given to, like,
And
placed
it,
at her feet. And she was like, "Wow, that was a great movie." And I was like, "How dare you?"
and I just want to say one thing for our audience. Justin and his wife have my Disney account, and she
Mhm,
had all this time to
mhm.
watch all the Marvel movies.
Yep.
And as I'm just putting my hands together, if you're just listening, and I'm just thinking to myself, what happened?
So we're making our way steadily. My wife is not, to her credit, she is not a movie person, but
Okay,
she has started the journey. It does take us a little while to get through stuff, just because, like I said, she's not a big movie person. Um, she's really watching it for me, which I love. So she's engaging in the culture for me. So that's
okay,
fantastic. So I
that's
mean,
great.
I would love to watch it a little quicker, but we are still making our way through phase 1. We've watched Iron Man 1, 2 and Thor. She really liked Thor. She loved
That was
Kat
cool.
Dennings in it. Thor was cool. And I think she really it has a little bit of humor. She liked the romance part, so I think she had a lot to cling on there. She really liked Shang Chi for all the humor that was in it.
Mm.
Um, so going back to that, so I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I'll go spoiler free for a couple minutes, and then I'll definitely drop some things. But I thought the villain was great. I really liked how they explained his
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah,
I loved um the soundtrack was like pretty cool. I liked it. It was
I like
random,
that.
but like I think it flowed with the movie very, very well. That was something that I
Yeah.
picked up on from the beginning. And then I think the story was great. Like the full character development I thought was really, really cool. The comedy in it I thought was very like earned. It
Marvel.
wasn't,
Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't like cheap shots or anything weird or dumb or shoehorned in there. Um, I think the two main characters work off each other very well.
yeah,
Um, and then I think it had some great action. The fighting was some of the best I've ever seen. It was fantastic. The close up hand to hand, like you felt the weight of every punch, and it was very like obviously choreographed extremely well.
yep.
The complete opposite of the first season of Iron Fist.
Oh my god,
Um, yeah, it was.
another Voldemort. You shouldn't say.
I thought it was great. What about you? You saw it too.
No, yeah, I saw it, and it was I liked it a lot. When it comes to, as a film, not looking at it as a nerd, I compare it to Black Panther,
Hmm.
in the sense that like specifically the end, like in most Marvel movies, there's always these
Yeah,
faceless enemies that are just fighting to fight. Like in Black Panther, you had two sides with the main, they had reasons to fight each other, and you
yeah,
knew why. It was just two sides of the same coin. And
hmm,
for Shang-Chi, I don't want to say two sides of the same coin because that's a different story, but they were fighting for certain reasons. But for me,
yeah,
like the villains troops or his goons, as I would say, to me were faceless because they're just
yeah,
following a leader. But I like
yeah.
the
They're
villain
grunts.
because yeah, I like the leader because he had a reason why he was a villain. Because to me, he wasn't really a villain. Because if not to spoil it, I'm not going to say anything. But if I was in his shoes, who knows? I probably would have wanted to do what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
Um, and you can't say that about, and I'm mad I remember his name from Thor 2, Malekith. I don't know what he was doing. I don't even remember what Thor 2 was about. I just remember the hammer, and that was the best thing about it. But yes, and the same thing. Music was great. I thought it was cool. I remember I want to say some of the, I don't, who's the rapper? Anderson Paak had like a one main, it was his track at the end. I'm trying to like go through the movie. I love that it ties into other things without being Iron Man 2 about it, where it wasn't like, hey, we have to set up for this. The way it ends, it's like, okay, now that was perfect. And you know what I'm talking about. Like
yeah,
it's like, oh look, we're still part of this
yeah,
universe.
yeah.
Um,
Like there's still other things going on, and we're gonna be a part of it. Like
yeah.
I agree. I think they did that right. Um,
And yeah, but everything was great about it. The only thing I'm saddened because and I know this is not the first movie where he wasn't in it. We're on our third movie post uh, Endgame where Stan Lee is not in it, and it's just weird. And
yeah.
like I thought
Well,
I'd get over it, but it's like, man, he's not in it,
they said out of respect that they wouldn't like CGI him in anything.
or even
Um,
show it like posters too,
see,
because he was in the
that's
Netflix. Yeah,
yeah. I would love I don't know like some sort of like some sort of mention, whether it's like a plaque on a building or like
I see what you're saying.
a name on like a card or something. You know, like I don't know. I'm not expecting to see like his face everywhere or to be
Yeah,
super blatant, but just like a little thing like
like you would
I
have to see in the YouTube video, like, oh
yeah.
yeah,
So
Easter egg.
like yeah, a nice little Easter egg like in So one of the things that kind of comes to mind is you remember in Into the Spider Verse when he's going through his phone and you see some of like comic book writer
Yes, I
names.
see what you're
So
saying.
like
Yes,
something like that where it's super subtle, or like in did you see Soul?
yes, I did see so. Yes.
Yeah. So you remember in when they go into what is it? I think it was 23, her room, and she had all the name tags of the different
Mm,
people, and it was like
yeah,
you saw it was like world leaders and like super famous people that had been her like mentors, like
yeah.
there, Stan Lee, like very subtle things that like only like eagle-eyed fans like that are searching are gonna find it, or like frame by frame lookers on YouTube, stuff like that. I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be a nice way to kind of keep his legacy going.
I like that.
But it's. I mean, we'll see. It's. I
Yeah,
get why they're doing it.
yeah.
Um.
I forget what I read, but I think it was just using images. Like the one
Mhm.
I remember was I think it was season 2 of one of the Netflix shows. Like he was because he was the captain of a police precinct, but it's just like a picture of him. So
Yeah.
I know they wanted to stop doing that. So I'm like, I like the idea of the name because it's like, oh, like
Mm.
his if his name is just always in a movie, that'd be cool. Because then it's not if you don't see it, you don't see it, but his name is still
Yeah.
there. Part
Yeah, and I don't
still
think it's
still part of
yeah.
like he's the DNA of the MCU, still
Hmm.
bleeding into it. You know,
Yeah. And I don't think it's it's not like you're not putting his face out there just for like views or something. Like it's a little more respectful. Um, so I think just putting the name somewhere would be great. Um, I will say one spoiler-y thing about the movie was
spoilers.
I yeah, spoilers. I loved the inclusion of oh my god, what was his name?
Big guy.
The bad the bad guy from Iron Man 3.
Oh, Trevor Slattery.
Trevor. Trevor. I called it in the theater. So in that scene they're in kind of like a dungeon thing or whatever, and they're hearing some noise and they go to
Mhm.
investigate. It's Trevor. So in the theater, they're in the dungeon. I lean over to my friend. I was like, "Bro, how crazy would it be if that's Trevor?" And Trevor pops up, and I was like, "Oh!" Like trying to contain myself.
I love that it kind of calls back to that too, and it's crazy because I saw it pop up on Disney, like the short, because those shorts only came out, the one shot shorts. If you don't know, you guys listening, will come up on the DVDs after the movie's release, home video. But that was the only short to come up on Disney Plus. I was like, why would they do this? And I was like, okay, Mandarin. I was like, okay, but I didn't. While I was sitting there, I was just like, until like I actually saw him, I was like, oh, okay, I see it now because I remember seeing that short. I don't know if you've seen it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah. So like, I thought it was cool, and but the short made him I guess the Mandarin, the actual Mandarin, more menacing. He is menacing in this movie, but it
Well, I
seemed like
mean,
he was
if
a lot more.
I don't know if you think about. Oh, you mean like Trevor's Mandarin?
No, no. What I mean is in the short when he's in jail,
Yeah,
and
and
then
they
this
like
agent
go.
goes into
Yeah,
he's just like we're here because we're the real 10 rings.
yeah.
And the way it went, that vibe, I was just like, oh, the real Mandarin is actually super like,
Well, I mean,
he's a,
if you think about it, I
but
mean, spoilers again, real quick.
mhm,
But in the movie, the guy is
mhm.
undying. He's been like a
Yeah,
top like bad guy for thousands of years,
yeah,
and like does his own thing and topples governments and stuff like that. So I mean, he's pretty powerful. Not he's not like a celestial being, like
yeah,
supernatural type deal, but he's in as far as like humans go, he has like some powers and stuff. So he's pretty menacing.
yeah. I probably have
And
to
I think it
watch it again
lines
just
up,
to feel it. Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think it lines up with like the character,
yeah.
him being
But
like, "Yo, you can't do that."
but that was really cool. I like that little callback.
Also, I don't know if this is like a hot take, but cutest character ever in an MCU movie is in this movie. Morris, to me, Morris stole the show. As soon
Yeah,
as he came up, I was like, "Oh, I need to own a
like
plushie
a
of
plush.
him." Yeah, yeah,
Watch a
100%.
Funko Pop come out for it too.
Yeah, duh, of course. But I
Yeah,
need like literally like to be right next to my mooncake plush. I need
Mm.
a Morris plush because he was so cute. Immediately, I saw him and I was like, "Oh,
Uh,
so adorable."
uh, also, spoilers, and give you
Spoilers.
time to just say, um, yeah, that was their reaction too, which was crazy. It was hilarious. They were just
They were
like,
just like, "Oh
what?
my god!" And it's
Man,
like it didn't
that
have a
was crazy.
face, but it was still cute. Like, ugh, it was
Yeah,
fantastic.
its nickname
Um,
was cute. Won't say it
yeah,
for the audience, but its nickname was
yeah,
cute.
yeah, yeah,
Great
yeah.
movie, yes. Just it was a great movie.
Fantastic.
And fun fact, just found out today or yesterday, audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is the highest of all superhero movies, which is
Yeah,
crazy. Because I was
I
like,
heard about
wait,
that.
but then it was like, it's not Rotten Tomatoes critics, it's audience. I
Mm,
was like,
audience.
wow, it beat out Spider Verse, Wonder Woman. I want to say Dark Knight. It was crazy. Like it was like the
It's
top
of any
juggernauts.
it's of any superhero movie ever.
I was like,
And on
wow.
top of that, I think that's kind of like a big it's a even bigger win because I don't know if you remember, but the CEO, I forgot who, I don't think it was one of the top dogs at Disney said that Shang-Chi was going to be an experiment,
Oh
and he
yes, I remember
and he
that.
kind of like was like, "Oh, it is what it is." And they had the main character, the main actor, he
Simu.
yeah, he made it like, no, we're not an experiment. Like, we're here. Like, this is groundbreaking. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. Not only is it a fantastic Asian American superhero, like,
Mhm.
who would have freaking thought, but it was a fantastic movie. And I think the whoever said that kind of ate their words because
Yeah.
this is I see him now. Like, no one cared about Shang Chi. Like, when
Mhm.
they announced it, I was like, oh, all right, I get. Like, I didn't know what it was. I had to kind of
Yeah.
like brush up on it, and like I
Yeah, and
had
that's the
no
thing for most people
expectations.
because like I was aware of Shang-Chi the character in the Marvels, but I don't know him like that. So that's why I was like I had no expectations. Not that I was going to
Yeah,
be like, "Oh, it's going to be a whack movie." I just didn't know what it
yeah.
was
I
going to
just
be
had
about.
no. Yeah, and then it came in and crushed it. Like,
Yep.
literally out the gate, one of the best MCU movies, including the OGs. Like, he
Mhm.
came in and held his own, and not
Yep.
only is that director and writing team or whatever, but it's the actors, it's the content, it's the passion that they showed through the screen, and it shows. You know,
100%.
um,
And I loved Aquafina's character's
she
her
was great.
arc. I
Yeah.
loved her arc because
Mhm.
it really kind of touched me in a way and like because she was always aimless. Her character, she's always doing random jobs, but then like I think for the longest job was being what do you call those guys, valet.
The valets.
And it's just like she didn't know what to do when she tells one of these other characters, she's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do," and then she found what she wanted, and I like that.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna. I know my limitations. I'm not gonna start something.
That was so
And
millennial though.
it was. I felt it completely. And then when the person said like the quote, and it was like, if you don't aim at anything, you'll never hit something,
The target, yeah.
right? Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, that it's so true. Like, if you don't commit, of course you're not gonna be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Um, so sticking like segueing over, but sticking with movies. First off, before we move on to the next topic, I have to give this honorable mention. New Spider-Man news: Andrew Garfield yet again denying his involvement in the new Spider-Man movie, but
Uh,
we're gonna enter the spoiler zone again really quickly. I don't know. It's rumors. It's rumors.
but this
But
is
did you
this your theory?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not my theory. This is a concrete evidence rumor. Did you see
Mhm.
the picture? Did you see the picture?
I did see the picture, and I think I want to
So
say I saw two pictures, but one of them we've seen. Yeah.
there's
We're
so
both.
out there in the interwebs, there is a picture of nowadays, present day Andrew Garfield donning his Spider-Man suit again. And it's like it's against like green screen or whatever, but it looks like his involvement is a thing, and he's just been denying it. Um, and it looks like battle torn and all that. His mask is off, so now all we need is confirmation from Toby, and
So, Papa
and
Toby.
that's it. We know Papa Toby,
But
Big Daddy Tobes.
all I need because this was just a teaser. I just need a trailer. The
We're
trailer will
not ready.
confirm it.
We're not, but we're
We
not ready.
I think
We're
when we
not.
get it, the world just ends. Like the sun expands.
Literally, a solar flare jets out of the sun,
Oh my
wipes
god.
out all of humanity in a blink of an
That
eye when
just
no one's gonna feel anything, and that's it. We have hit the peak because that trailer, it's too much. It's just too much.
yeah.
And I don't know if you saw like the Sony junket, the conference that they had yesterday. So it was for
I s-
PlayStation.
yeah, I was gonna say I saw the place. Yeah, but yes,
Yeah, it was for PlayStation. So, and then they also announced the new Spider-Man game, and it's
which we knew was
confirms
gonna
that,
happen.
yeah, and it confirms Peter and Miles are side by side, And I mean, we knew it at the end of the first Spider-Man game, but main villain looks like it's going to be Venom, confirmed
Mm.
again. So I
Well,
think,
sorry, not to cut you off, but
but
not just Venom. Remember, if you heard the
so I'm going off of highlights. I didn't watch the conference.
oh, you didn't
Oh, you
watch
got
it.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll
Oh, you
tell you
got a
this. So I
little. You got a
no
nugget
no
for
because
me.
when I just watched it like an hour ago, the voiceover sounds like Craven because he's talking about how, yeah, he's like, no one's ever challenged me, blah blah blah, this and that. But then when Venom
What?
speaks, it's not, the
Way
voice is not the
different.
same. Yeah, Venom says we are red, like we can, like I forget the words verbatim, but he
Yeah.
says we something something, and but the entire trailer, I'm like, that's Craven, like, because think about it.
That's
If you
funny
remember, like
though.
the '90s, he's always like, "Oh, I need someone to
Yeah.
challenge me," blah blah blah. But
Hmm.
if Craven is the villain, I think it's gonna be something. And I think Venom is just a red herring. Like he's gonna be a villain, but he's not
Hmm.
like, because
Yeah.
my
There's gonna
idea
be
is that,
other. Yeah.
yeah, I think like Venom is just gonna be like, oh, because I'm in my head is, the Venom Spider-Man thing already happened.
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe which Venom is this one? No, we don't know.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
So I mean, according to the last game, it looks like it's gonna be Harry Osborn instead of like the traditional Eddie Brock, and
Mm,
I mean, I'm down with that. I don't really care who's the host. Like, I'm fine with it. But I mean, Venom being an anti-hero, like it could be a thing where like they have to team up at the end to take down Craven because Craven's hunting both of them. Like, I'm down with that. I like Craven as a villain. I'm sorry that he hasn't been included in movies yet, and I'm sure he will be. And I know that
yeah,
there's been rumors flying around that he'll be included, but
facts.
it'll be cool. So yeah, that's the honorable Marvel mention for this week's update on Spidey rumor mill. I gotta come up with like a clever name for that. Like,
I was just gonna say that because we talked about this last time, so it's like this
yeah,
is part two.
I'm just gonna yeah, it's just gonna be like an ongoing thing. I'm always gonna have some Spider-Man news. So and then I guess sticking with the movie theme, right? Let's jump on into another trailer that's just kind of like blowing people's minds right now. And this I did see firsthand was the Matrix trailer,
You
Matrix
were on set.
Resurrection. I was on set with the Wachowski sisters, and
Okay.
I actually gave the green light for it to come out. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
I was like, we waited long enough. We can give it to the people.
Mm,
But no, seriously, it. So I watched all three Matrix movies. I was a pretty big fan, like back in high school. I enjoyed it. The first one being my favorite. Um,
got
I
hands
haven't
down.
seen them in a couple of years, but what bothers me is like the end of three was pretty like finite. Like it was very much like Neo dies and
I'm nodding my
sacrifices
head, people.
himself. Like so I'm not sure why he's still alive in the Matrix. Like it kind of seems like he got replugged in somehow, and that's
Mm,
like super duper weird because his sacrifice was supposed to like bring it all down so like this doesn't keep happening. So I don't know. It's weird. I also like he's like a normal guy again and like it's a new Morpheus comes out of nowhere and is like, "Hey, take this pill again, and we'll go down the rabbit hole all over again." And it's like, what? And
yeah.
they showed snippets of this new Morpheus. I keep like, I honestly don't know the character's name. I haven't done any research into that, but whenever I see it pop up like on like Instagram or whatever news feed that I've been looking at, they've been calling him Morpheus, which is
Well, Yaya, the actor, when he posted that picture, he typed in all caps and just that Morpheus.
so
Um,
like that in itself is super annoying because Morpheus very clearly died in what the second one. So
yeah.
I don't get why that's happening. I mean I'm happy they got Trinity to come back for it with Keanu, right? I don't know Trinity's actual name, I forget. But
Yes, I forgot to.
that actress can't coming back to be with Neo. It's awesome. The agents are back, which Yet again, I don't understand how that's a thing because I'm pretty sure he took them all out, but fine. And then they also show this a snippet of a, I don't know, like an adult, like a black woman, and I'm assuming that's like the new Oracle.
Mm,
Um, so it's like it seems trippy, like the other Matrixes where I'm gonna see it, like I'm intrigued. I want to see more in like more trailers because it was just so weird.
I
That's
think,
like the best way
yeah.
to put it. It was just
The
weird to
one
me.
thing I love about this trailer is that it doesn't spoil anything. Like, and you know me with
Yeah.
trailers.
Hmm.
Like, I watch the first teaser and trailer, and
Hmm.
then I feel okay. But when you just tell me the movie, I'm like, why am I going to go see this?
Yeah.
And then
The
I
o-
get upset about it.
the only thing is that I don't really know what's going on, you know,
Exactly.
and I think that's like for a trailer, you're supposed to get a sense, right, of what the
Hmm.
story is, and the only thing I'm getting is Neo is back,
Yeah.
and that's it. And the other half of it being like, let's say you're new to the genre, right, or
Yeah.
not new to the genre, but new to the franchise,
Yeah.
you're like, what is happening? Like, why does any of this matter? So I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems cool. Like I'm gonna go see it. Um, I really need another trailer though. I need because it gave me too many questions. I think because they threw a lot in the
Yes.
trailer,
Yeah.
and like I was seeing some breakdowns and stuff, and one of them actually shows in like a frame by frame thing when there's like those soldiers going through. Somebody's actually watching the
Yeah.
original Matrix movie
Hmm.
in the Matrix 4. So the Matrix as a movie with Keanu Reeves exists in this Matrix 4 world. So
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just a lot of questions, and I typically when it comes to movies like this, I like to have one or two
Oh, yeah.
questions because it's a trailer. You're not supposed to know everything. But this one, I was just like, why? Like there was every single thing that they showed. I was like, why? What is happening?
You
How are
literally
those
went through all the questions. You're like,
I
who,
was like,
when, where, and why?
how yeah, like how are
And sometimes
those
why.
robots yeah, I was just like, how are those robots back? How are the agents there? Like, what is happening? Like last
Yeah.
time I left this thing, everyone was good and he died. Like
Yeah.
died. Like sacrificed
Sacrifice.
straight up. Literally, it looked like he got crucified and he was laying down, arms out, as they took him away, and then the big explosion happened. To me, that means death. When you go into a massive explosion in this crazy nether realm, I feel like you're bye bye, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm gonna go see it and all that, but
so
it's
for
uh, it's weird.
so for our listeners that are coming back for this episode, you know the answer. My answer to this is either science and seven. Um, that's the answer I'm gonna give you. Online, there's been a lot of theories immediately after this trailer. Uh, well, actually, before the trailer, when they showed the screenshots and there were theories popping around. Um, I did
Or
not
God,
want
wait,
to.
you gotta remember, or
Oh,
God. So
Jesus.
it's Jesus. So it's
Yeah.
science, Jesus, or seven.
Yes. Yes. So all three. Um, but yeah, I tried, and my brain is always gonna. I think we all do this. We always theorize, but like I try to avoid like going on the internet like this is what's happening. My the way I took it, I'm just gonna see it. Like I'm gonna wait to see it, but then I kind of have these. I don't want to say expectations, but my own answers. Like that's not really Morpheus because I was just like to me Morpheus is Lawrence, but I'm like to me he's dead. What if it's just a uh, an AI or whatever, they're gonna make something up. And I was like, all right, leave
Yeah.
that at that. How did Neo come back? I feel like to me, because I remember specifically at the end of Resurrection, the end of three, he was blinded. So I'm like, okay, so we're the whole time we've been seeing a Neo that's in the Matrix, so we don't know. Um, and what was the other thing? Oh, you said something about like uh, the agents, which to me, I wish they got this guy back because I think he was phenomenal. I don't know if he didn't want to come back because I know Lawrence didn't want to. I think Lawrence said he's not gonna do it or something. I forget what it was. He knew he was just not gonna be in this. Um, But my thing, I don't know, because I was just looking at it. I'm just like, yo, Neo's staying here for Trinity, but I was like, what's going on? And exactly, I feel the same way. But I made these answers for myself to just fill in the gaps, like
Hmm.
fake gaps, and I'm gonna just go with it until the movie blows my mind.
Hmm.
And yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like the last movie was finite. It was a nice thing, um, and we were blessed with it.
Yeah, like it very much ended. Like that was it, and I was like, I was okay with it. It wrapped it up. I mean, it got mixed reviews or whatever. And I
Mm,
think the other big thing, review wise with this movie is it's like not only does it have the, I guess, the cachet of this like massive franchise that like
mm,
is loved and like pretty much worshipped as a religion by millions of people. Um,
hundreds.
you have that big burden of like living up to that franchise, but also telling a new story that's going to bring people in and answer all these new questions that you are now proposing. Like
Yeah,
it was done, sealed up, and you opened it up and added a bunch of crap. So now it's up to you to make it make sense. And I feel like that's a pretty like I don't know any
that's
movie
hard.
that does that. It's hard. It's hard to kind of rise to the occasion and meet all those expectations of people because like I mean the best call it the best example or the worst example that comes to mind is The Hobbit,
Mm,
right? I thought that it was, I saw the first one, I saw half of the second one, I didn't see the third. Um, but from the first minute of the first movie, I was like, oh, it doesn't have the same magic. It
mm.
wasn't like you can see the passion
You sense it.
and that, yeah, and that's the thing that truly makes the difference with these sequels and revivals and stuff. Like, is that passion still there? Like we're talking about this huge endeavor that happened. Matrix and Lord of the Rings, right? They filmed these movies back to back. It was a huge amount of passion and like willingness to kind of show all this new crazy stuff on screen.
Mm,
Like, can you dip back into that? Like, can you take the company pen, dip it back in the ink, and be like, let's continue the story? Like, that's
yeah,
hard,
and
especially after
I agree.
20 years.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. I was like, this is another nostalgia cash grab. Like, look, I
Yeah.
love Keanu Reeves to death. He's never gonna die, but because of his rise, because of John Wick, and he's in everything. They're like, oh wait, he's making money. Let's do the Matrix again.
So
And
apparently, I
yeah,
heard that
mm,
the Wachowskis had this stored away,
mm.
like
Well,
just in
one of them is
case.
not working on it right now because I think she wanted to take a break. I think I read that recently. I would have to go
Oh
back.
yeah.
I think it's just one of them now.
Oh well, I know that both
Yeah,
of them had
but they
penned
had
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, both of the Wachowski sisters had penned it and they had it. But this is what I heard, that it was something that had been spoken about like a while ago, and like it had like I guess like a rough draft or something had been penned, and it just like they didn't want to do it unless there was like certain parameters that met
Mm,
their standards were met. So, and I'm assuming now, like you said, with the rise of Keanu again, like they're like, all right, I think this is a great time to. I mean, not only to tell the story, but to cash in.
yeah. That and then it's like and I could understand if there's certain things like you said parameters. Like to me, what first thing came up is technology.
Right.
Like when George Lucas wanted to do the prequels, he was like, wait till the technology gets better. So it's like I think that's the first thing that pops up. Obviously, there's other things. Um, but yeah, one of my favorite and the best theory at all, and I would be super behind it if John Wick is Neo. So
Yeah,
this
I've
whole
heard
time
this. Yeah.
we've been watching Neo just living a different life, and he just wakes up in four. He's like, wait, I'm not John Wick. like, like that would be dope.
I
That
mean,
would be
listen,
dope,
if I that would be really, really cool.
right?
It would
It's like
it
why
would be
he
fan
never dies in all of them.
like it's fan service for sure, but like it would be cool fan service.
Yeah, I'm gonna write it. I'm just gonna write it. Just shotgun it into the internet. Someone will pick it up.
Go for it, hell yeah.
But yeah, I stand by you on this. It's just so much going on, questions that need answering. and it's Christmas. I'm happy. It's right
Mhm.
there. We got
Yeah,
Spider-Man, we got Dune,
it's
we got
quick.
this, we got. Oh, I love it. And the thing is, because I hate when trailers tell you something like 3 years before
Yeah.
till you get it. Like this, and I know because of the pandemic, it kind of shortened things, but
Mhm.
it's one of the good things of it because it's like, oh, we get to see this. Like,
Well, it's like back in the day, right? Like you saw, like when we were
yeah,
younger, you saw trailers in the movie theater a couple of
hmm,
months before they were coming out. It wasn't you got this teaser 2 years ago and then you're gonna see it. Like no, it's or it got announced 2 years ago. It was like no, if you weren't in that movie when the trailer came out, right?
yeah,
Then you'd have to wait like another couple weeks to a month to see it on TV, and then like right, literally right before it's about to
yeah,
drop.
yeah,
So I'm happy. I like the shorter timelines when it comes to trailers, whether it be movies or video games, stuff like that. Like I want it way closer to the finished product.
yeah. And to be honest, if you think about it, and I'm not a financial guru when it comes to the Hollywood, you know, stuff.
Mhm.
Um, you save more money. Think about Black Widow. They've been showing that trailer from forever, and they
Yeah,
spent
man.
all that money to just
For
finally get it out,
for like two
and then to
years.
show it again. Be like, hey guys, remember Black Widow's still here, and now they're in this thing with Black Widow. But that's not here and now. We talked about that already. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
it was great. Uh, but yes, we're gonna hop into another topic, which is kind of it's a sad one. Michael
Mhm.
K. Williams passed
Yeah.
away. Well, as of time recording, this happened earlier this week.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the basically the story was that they found him dead in his apartment in
Mhm.
Brooklyn. And initially, when I heard the story, and it's annoying that the first blips of information is like he probably OD'd, but it's like I didn't know his history like that. But
Yeah.
after reading into it, they said that he had a history with drug use, and
Mhm.
then that's what had happened. But I hate that that's the
Mhm.
first thing they insinuate. Like, oh, this is what happened. Um, from the stuff that I've seen of him, it was great, and it sucks because like he was 54 years old, and he's old, and these are actors, like people that are just passing away. Like when people pass, like to me as a writer, I was like, oh, I want to work with that guy, and he was one of those people, and I was just like, damn. And I know people that have been posting online that have talked about it. They always reference The Wire because that's like the one show that like made it like bust him out into Hollywood. It's just crazy. Um, yeah, yeah. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I mean, yeah, it sucks. I mean, obviously, it's always sad when anyone passes, but unfortunately, he had an immense talent, and it just kind of stings that much more because now the world goes without. Um, I mean, I really liked him in in Community. His little stay in that it was
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, Also, it's super weird credit, but he was in was it 2K19 or
Oh,
20 in the
that is
story
a weird
mode?
one.
Yeah. Yeah, he was I remember seeing him in that and I was like, "What?" I was like, "How much money did they pay to get that guy in there?" And I mean, it definitely sucks because he was a great actor.
Mhm.
And I
A
think
true
in
thespian.
yeah, in most of the stuff he did, he was always like kind of like critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
Um so it definitely sucks, and it's kind of like one of, and I mean 54, like that's not old. He's
Yeah. That
pretty
it
young.
really bugged me out, and because everything I've heard he was in or seen he was in, like I've
Mhm,
always wanted. I to this day I still haven't seen The Wire because I feel like I'm not
mhm,
ready to see that yet. Like I know it's a great
yeah,
show. I've only seen the first episode. Boardwalk Empire. The
mhm,
one show that I can say I've seen in its entirety, which I love this show, and I'm sad that it never got to be picked up for another season. Lovecraft Country. Like he was a main
mhm,
cast in that. It
mhm,
was a great show. He did super well. And speaking of that, um, I read online that something about him being a typecasted, and
yeah,
that kind of leads me into what I'm going to say now. I don't know when he did this little monologue, but there was a page that I followed that posted it, and
mhm,
it's like a 2 minute under like 2 minutes and change of him talking to all his other characters in like in his apartment, or I'm assuming his apartment, and it's like Mike
So
from yeah,
it's him as himself, like as Michael K.
yes,
Williams
as and then
addressing.
yes, so
Oh,
it's like yeah,
that's
he's
pretty
talking to
cool.
like Mike from The Wire, Mike from I want to say Lovecraft Country, and Mike from another show I forget, and he just goes about because
Oh.
there was this thing that he didn't want to be typecasted, and
Mhm.
the way it ends is so powerful because it's just like damn, like I don't want to say it's like it's surreal. Like I don't know the word that I'm looking for. That when you get the chance to see it, it's gonna you're gonna feel some type of way too. He basically
Mhm.
says something about like you know his fear of getting typecasted. You
Mhm.
know, being the black guy always in jail doing drugs, gang
Yeah.
banging, and as Michael himself, he's just like yeah, but I'm just Michael. I'm just doing these things. Like I get to choose what I want to do, and it was like a funny little moment where the guy says some the wire Omar, I believe
Mhm.
his name is Omar.
Omar.
He goes, yeah, he goes like, yeah, man, people always trying to cast us like this, like certain type of way. This is gonna the guy by the fridge is eating cereal. He's like, you mean black? Like that was a nice little line. And
Yeah.
then he's like, yeah, but like I it's like I get to do something the way I want, and I got out. Like he's like, if
Mhm.
you the only way you get typecast is you either in jail or dead, and like that's how it just ends. And I was just like I was just like, damn, like it's like in itself meta, like a
Yeah.
futuristic foresight, prescience. I don't know what the word is, but it's just weird.
I feel
And
like
I think
people like
he
that.
was too
Oh,
young. No, no,
yeah,
yeah, he
no,
was
for
just too
sure.
young.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was saying, I think people like that are very aware of themselves.
Yeah.
Um, I think, and it's it's a lot of actors, it's a lot of famous people. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of no names too that we have no idea about. But
Hmm.
these people are so in tune with themselves, they know their path. I don't think right then and there he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna die in X amount of years," but he knows who he is, and he knew his life, right?
Yeah.
Like, uh, same kind of deal with like Robin Williams, right? Like
Yeah.
they played their roles just as they wanted, right? And whether it was serious or comedic, they were applauded for how they did it and how well they did. And they truly brought inspiration and depth to the characters that they portrayed, whether it's, Robin or Michael K. Williams. And unfortunately, their lives were struck down pretty early on. They had more years to give, but unfortunately, it was their time. Um, and in both instances, it was, self inflicted.
Yeah.
We have no idea what goes on in the minds of a person, let alone someone that's constantly being bombarded with things in Hollywood. Like
Mm.
the way that I think about it, because these things happen unfortunately with famous people, and like they take their lives. I couldn't imagine being surrounded by everything. Imagine
Mhm.
just living a life in excess and you are surrounded by any and everything you could possibly want. But with that comes the eyes of the world watching your every move and the paranoia of like who you can trust. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like imagine like living a true life of just like you can't do anything without somebody knowing. And then if you think about it through that lens, it kind of makes sense where people turn to vices for that moment of just super duper high where like
Yeah.
all they have to do is focus on being happy for that split second, for
Yeah.
those minutes, those hours, whatever it is. And I mean, even also kind of comparing it recently to like Demi Lovato, right? Talking about
Mhm.
people that, I mean, he's been in the public eye and he's been acting for like at what 2 decades now. Well,
Yeah.
he was for two
Mhm.
two and a half decades, and you know Demi Lovato spent her entire life in front of the camera. Robin Williams, he was acting since a very young age, straight out of Juilliard. I mean, I know he was kind of like bumming around for a little bit, but regardless, young ages, growing up with everything they could possibly want, being surrounded by every type of like sin and vice you could think of, on
Yeah.
top of all of these fake people and faces, like, it's definitely a pressure, and
Yeah.
if you fall to one thing, unfortunately, like drugs or something like that, then it's really, really hard to pull yourself out of that. And I
Yeah.
mean, my prayers and condolences go out to his, family members and friends, and to all the fans of his that lost someone that they care about. You know.
Yeah. No, I agree with totally everything you're saying. Like I had that a moment like, well, not moment like that. I remember
Mhm.
sitting with that thought, like, yeah, what if, just a hypothetical question to myself, like, what if one day I write something, but then I decide to act, or if I get it's all
Yeah.
hypothetical, get good at it, or maybe direct, and I became famous. Like, would I be able to handle that? And I know I wouldn't. That's why
Yeah.
I've always loved being an architect when it comes to creating stuff. I never like I want people to know who I am, but I don't want
Yeah.
people to like see me in the street like paparazzi, like, yo, that's Jay. Like
Yeah.
I don't need that kind of attention, especially for like when it comes to like as of the couple as of the last couple of years with the rise in mental health awareness. Like I don't need that. And that
Mhm.
speaking of mental health, like you would think like with stuff like this happening, especially with no name actors that are trying to aspire to this, they're I know they can afford it, but I think that needs to be pressured onto taking care of these actors or famous people, like going to therapy, like how are you doing today, like that therapist should be your friend. Obviously you're paying them, but like it, you know how's life, like I don't
Yeah.
know what their life is, because my life is normal, but their life, what they're surrounded is their normal. So if
No.
we switch places, I'd be like shocked. I'm like, oh my god, caviar, and I could just throw that money, and they're just sitting in my small apartment, and they're just like, oh, this is nice, I'm with myself, and they may appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing, like I appreciate that I have a home, I'm happy, but it's just like
Hmm.
when it comes to the scale of our financials or our physical space.
Yeah.
um but yeah, like prayers go out to his family and everything. Like like I can sit here and say like, look, I wanted to work with this guy, but I know he's watching me. He's up there. He's watching everyone that is trying to make it. Um,
Hmm.
and that makes me feel good that he's.
Yeah.
I know he's watching my back.
Yeah, for sure. Like those are that's and I think that's a great way to take it, right? As a young creative, right? You know, it's not necessarily like a missed opportunity, right?
Hmm.
It's it is an opportunity to rise to that occasion, right? To take the lessons that they've given us and go forward and truly like realize your own potential, by seeing others. That's inspiration, right? Like
Yeah.
you and in your way of like in your succession and in your like evolution as a creative person, like you honor those that came before, right?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah. Uh, kind of want to flow into
Mhm.
the next topic. Um.
But before we
Oh
continue
yeah.
on to that, we will be including that monologue in the
Oh
in the
yes,
description
that's
of the
right.
podcast, just in case anyone wants to check it out. It'll be a link in there, so just keep an eye
That's
out
right.
for that.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yep.
Um, yeah, we've been on a reminiscing binge lately, and I just wanted to reminisce about something. I know this is the 26th anniversary of PlayStation One. Do you
Hmm.
feel old?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what sucks is
Yeah.
I've seen like a lot of like posts and stuff like that, right?
Mm.
And in a good amount of them, it's the do you remember the second variant and it was called the PS1?
Yes. Yeah.
right? And it was
Yeah.
like a little smaller, like rounded edges and stuff. And
Hmm.
I look at that and I'm like, that's not even the first one. Like they're talking about that, and I didn't even
Yeah.
have that. I had the other one, the big square
That
cinder block.
block.
Yeah, I
I
was
call
like,
it the VCR.
it's like, ugh, gross. And it's like, I mean, thinking about it, right? I'm only 2 years older than it, right? Like I'm 28, but
Yeah.
going back, like what I had one. Well, me and my dad, right? Because we
Mm.
shared it. I think I was like 4 or 5 when we got it. So it was there, man. And then
Oh, he had it. Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it as a Christmas present at one point, and then he just used it a lot. But it was something like we had so many games, and my dad, you know, FBI and law enforcement, please cover your ears for this. But we used to copy games, and we had a little jailbroken PS1, and we would just copy a bunch of games, and we had a crazy library. Um, but yeah, the memories on that, man, like everything from like off the top of the dome, right? Like it's Area 51, Small Soldiers, was it Army Men, um, Crash Bandicoot,
Classic.
um, yeah. I'm trying to think of more like PlayStation 1. Oh, Metal Gear Solid.
Mm.
Um, trying to think. I had Space Jam basketball on that. I remember that. I had
Oh
that
wow.
game. That was so much fun. Um, oh, we had Resident Evil Nemesis, so that was 3. I think we had 2 and 3. Um, and a bunch
Yeah,
of
you
other
just
ones
going
that
through
I'm
it.
yeah, that I'm definitely forgetting. But yeah, man, that was a thing. I remember like booting that up and putting the CD in. It was like,
And you hear the thing go wee.
yep. And then the intro thing, the
I was just gonna say that. Yes. I wish I had similar memories.
oh,
Because
Spyro.
yeah, I was just gonna say because I was gonna ask you what was the first memory of your favorite games, but you kind of like went through them all.
Yeah.
For me, I wouldn't say because I didn't own a PlayStation One. I used to my favorite memories when I was younger was uh, watching my cousin play.
Hmm.
Um, I had an N64,
Yeah.
and my dad bought it for me. But then my cousin was like, "Damn, you should have got a PlayStation so we could trade games." I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah.
Like not even we weren't saying "damn" as 7-year-old kids. We're like, "Dang."
Dang,
Um,
man.
yeah, and
Shoot.
but I remember just watching him play like games like Final Fantasy VII, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot. Um, Games that I remember playing was this like ninja game. I forget. I think it was called like Ninja or something like that. I forget.
You're talking about like Ninja Gaiden?
It wasn't Ninja Gaiden, but it was
Mm.
similar. But I kept losing and sucking at it. I was a dumb 7-year-old, so it's like whatever. Um, Another game, Soul Reaver. I
Soul Reaver?
watched my cousin play it, and I thought it was the best thing because I was like, for its time, the story, and I don't even remember the story. I just remember the visual. I was like, this story is
Mhm.
bomb. I was like, this story is great.
It was
Um,
crazy. I remember like I as a dumb young kid, I never
mm,
got too far in it, but I loved it. It was like you're this crazy like
yeah, he
demon
was suck
guy.
soul. Yeah, like,
Yeah, and you gotta get souls from monsters, and it was
do you
so much
remember the
fun.
opening though? I always remember the opening. He something happened. I think he tried to do something good, but in his world it was like
Yeah.
bad, or because of law and order, and they pushed him off a cliff into like some
Mhm.
waterfall, and then he was that was like sentenced to death, and I was like, yo, what? And I'm like, wait, and I looked at him, I was like, yo, I told my cousin, I was like, is this the beginning of the game? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, but he just died. And he's like, no, he doesn't. He comes back as I was
Yeah.
like, but that was crazy to me.
And the cool
That
deep
was like,
voice when he's like Soul Reaver.
yeah. Another game. It wasn't PlayStation 2. It definitely wasn't Bloody Roar. Was it?
Oh
It
no,
wasn't
that was
PlayStation.
I think that was PlayStation 1.
But
But
okay,
I
probably
never
later on.
actually I've seen it, but I've never actually played it.
I was good at playing, but I never beat my cousin. He always used the mole, and I used to use the chameleon because I thought the chameleon was cool.
Yeah.
But the mole looked cooler, and I was like, damn, I want to use the
Yeah, you don't pick based off of strategies and strengths. You pick
mole. The
based off of how
coolest one.
cool you think that character is. Um,
Um, that was
mine was
yeah,
mine was Tekken, but I think I had Tekken on
uh,
PlayStation 2. I don't
yeah.
think I had the one for PlayStation 1.
But yeah,
Um,
man, 26 years, and like I think for the
Wild.
25th year, if they just like did more.
Yeah.
I don't recall a lot happening last year. Well, I guess because of the pandemic.
Well,
Well,
they had a lot for the
they
25th anniversary. They had the console, um,
like
right? Or
unboxing.
was that the 20th? Oh, it
I
might have been
know
the
they did.
20th anniversary
I
where
know
they
they
had
did for the
the PS4 console.
yes, yes. I
That was
think it was the
20th.
20th. Yeah,
I think for 25th they kept it kind of low key, but they did like merch and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
it had like old school merch for the 25th anniversary.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think they had any like games or any variants and stuff like that.
yeah,
The
man.
20th I think was like the really really big one.
Yeah, I remember wanting it, and then I think there was only limited amount, and then
Oh yeah, they
they
were
sold out. So the closest
put
thing
out
I
in
was
like
like, let
10
me,
minutes or something.
and I was like, let me just get the PlayStation controller just to
I
feel
couldn't
like
even get that. I couldn't even get that. I got
and
the
I didn't
theme.
get it.
I got the
Yes,
theme
I got
on
the theme.
the free theme on the PlayStation 4.
Yes,
Um, I
and
remember
I felt it.
talking about the controller. Yeah, and it had the same startup noise and everything.
Yeah.
I loved it. Talking about the controllers, I remember when the DualShock 1 came out for
Mhm,
PlayStation. And
mhm.
because remember, it didn't have analog sticks, it was just
Yeah,
a regular controller. And when the DualShock came out, it had the vibration and the analog sticks. And I remember I got that and I was like, what? And like
you were like
most of the games
science.
most of the games you couldn't even use it on yet. Like it was only
Hmm.
like the really newest games. And I remember it was like a Thanksgiving or a Christmas, right? I always had to bring my games with me wherever I went for any family function.
Oh, facts.
So I brought my place. I had a little carrying case and everything. Shout out to my parents because they always got me whatever video game carrying case so I could
Nice.
bring it with me. So I brought it with me to my grandparents' house, and my aunt had brought her dog. And we were downstairs. It was I want to say Thanksgiving, so we had the whole Thanksgiving day, right? And the dog is running around through the house all day, and then the next morning, I go turn it on, get my game session in, right? The controller, the analog stick, you remember the rubber? It
Mhm.
was all chewed up, and I
Dang.
had like 6-year-old me was just internally screaming and crying, like how could they do this? Like,
That's when the villain was born,
yep.
and
I
it
was so
just
mad.
became a variant. He's like, we couldn't see that just in real life.
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, that's
But
so
yeah,
sad.
it's crazy. I remember I had Final Fantasy 9. That was like I never
Mm,
even it took me until like last year or the year
mm.
before when they re-released it and it came to the
Oh,
Switch where I finally played through it and I beat it. Well, you know what? I don't even know if I beat it. I don't think I did.
I got
I think
FF8
I got
and didn't
to
beat
the
it.
end.
Same.
I got to the very end, but I played through the whole thing. When I was a dumb kid, I couldn't get past like the first 20 minutes, but I
I
played
feel the
it
same.
over and over again. What else? Yeah, man, it was just there's so many things to try and remember with PlayStation 1. I mean, PS2 I feel like is where it really like kind of like exploded with all the different IPs and like, you had a DVD player built in. But PlayStation 1, man, was a moment in time.
It was yeah, exactly. And like not to take it away from PlayStation, but like I said, my best memories like with the PlayStation was like hanging out with my cousin because I was always backseat. I was
Yeah.
never the one like oh I wanted to play because we were
Yeah.
near an age, but I liked watching him play. Like even like
Mhm.
to this day, like when he used to like back well a couple hundreds of years ago, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, he used to play Dead Space, and I can't
Yeah.
play it. When it comes to scary games, I can't play it, but I'd watch him play because I
Right.
felt like if he can handle this, I can handle watching this.
Same,
But
same. I did that with my cousin because he
you know,
loves getting scared by video games and stuff like that. And
you're just like, nah.
I'm just there, like I'll watch, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But
Yeah, because I remember he had Toy Story for PlayStation,
Mm,
and I remember watching him. He was playing as Buzz and collecting these coins, and then they were like the soldiers. I thought it was cool. Um, I
that
wish
was
I
Toy
had a
Story
PlayStation.
2.
Yes, 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 yes. I wish I had a PlayStation, but like I'm happy that I had an N64 because like my memories were more connected to that. Because like I said, not to take it away from it, but like my cousin would come down and like that gave you an opportunity to play other games. So like
Mm.
I had the green Nintendo 64 with the Donkey Kong yellow cartridge, and I got far in that game. But as like, you would say, I was a dumb kid that couldn't get far enough. I don't know what was stopping me. And
It's because you were a
yeah,
dumb kid.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But I remember one of the things like when I would have maybe the two, three friends that I had and my cousin, we would play Donkey Kong multiplayer, and you would play you would choose all your characters, and we'd get into arena and just duke it out. And that was fun. That was fun. Um,
So I had an N64, but that one was actually my dad's. Like that was my
mm,
dad's, and I used to play it, right? And we had all the games. I could never beat Mario 64. It took till I was an adult.
mm,
Um,
facts.
and then because I was a dumb kid. Same thing with Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
To till I
no
was an
one's smart
adult.
enough.
Till I was an adult because I was a dumb kid. And one of the things that me and my cousin, like my cousin,
Mm.
we used to love was GoldenEye, and we would just duke it out
Oh,
in multiplayer
same,
in
same.
GoldenEye, or we would switch on and off with missions and go through. Um, I used to have the Spider-Man game on N64. He had Banjo Kazooie, so we used to like I used to watch him play that.
Nice.
Um, so many again, it's just so many to think of. Um, Star
Yeah, and
Wars Rise of the Empire.
yes, yes.
Great game. Stupid kid could not beat the first level. Fantastic game. I used to play that level over and over and over again and just watch my dad beat it.
Yeah, the one thing when you describe that, it's cool because it's like I didn't like how people were like, "Oh no, you're an Xbox head, ill," or you have an like. The one thing about having all, I can, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, they're all making money, but what unites everyone is if you have all three. And like that was the cool thing. Like when my cousin had a PlayStation, I went to his house. Like that, I looked forward
Yeah.
to that. He would come to my house. We looked forward to that and we'd play. And you know, one of my core things is being different together, and that is
Yeah.
something that I love. And that kind of segues me into what my next topic is. But yo, like if I can, like I remember I had Xbox. I used to talk mad smack about PS3, but hey, PS3 is still great. Like it had those IPs that were cool. Um, but yeah, like
Intellectual properties.
yes, that's what IP means, people. Not AIs. That's artificial intelligence, which we don't want. Um, yet.
Or alienated
Intergalactic.
interlopers.
Yes. Oh, that was good. That was good. But yeah, like the being different together leads me into what I was gonna say. Our next topic, One Piece. The 100th volume came out this week. Yeah, I should have a parts too because I think I talked about One Piece already. But that's crazy.
For,
1997.
for everyone, One Piece is a anime manga about pirates that we love. It's Jay's favorite, and I really like it as well.
It's it's who I am. Like that's it sounds corny, but it's who I am. It's
100 volumes.
1997.
Jeez, man. 97. So that means
Yeah,
97?
yeah. It came out in '97.
So
The
07, 17. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
What is it?
yeah,
Like almost 25 years old.
yeah. Because I remember the 20th anniversary. I remember each of the anniversaries because I remember they would pop up online, and I was like, yeah.
Jeez.
And I'm
That's
still
wild.
here. Um,
That's like
what
what
was I
other
gonna say?
thing besides like The Simpsons, like what other thing has gone that long?
Pokemon.
Oh, I guess yeah. You're right, you're right.
Yeah,
Cuz what? Pokemon was 95, 96. I
around
think the
that time.
game was
Yeah,
95, the anime was probably 96.
yeah. It was a little later because I remember. Well, when it came to the states, I was like second
Yeah.
grade. So I was 7 years old. So yeah, Yeah, because the Pokemon is still going on for the kids now, so it's like whatever. But anyway,
Mm.
yeah, man, the 100th one came out a few months back. The 1,000 chapters came out, which was great.
Yeah.
And we're talking about well, yeah, yeah, it came out a few weeks ago, or 4 months ago. Um, to celebrate the 100th volume for since June, they would release these episodes called hashtag We Are One, and I
Hmm.
loved it. If you get the chance to go check it out, it's on like One Piece's YouTube channel. Basically,
Hmm.
it's like a drama piece, like maybe 10 minutes or so, but it intercuts and they give you, or there's like a segment of the the greatest, or what's the word I'm looking for, moments in One Piece. Like, for example, and I'm only going to say this because you don't know the other ones yet, but
So like the most
when
memorable, I guess.
yeah, like when Vivi would stay behind and they put their hands up and they had the like, that was one of them. But the way the segment went is like real life Japanese actors acting out a scene where it's like, they're going through their
Hmm.
trials and tribulations, but they intercut it with certain scenes in One Piece that mirror that. And it kind of just goes with the, you know, they could do it, you could do it. Kind of like the Rocky saying, like, it's not how hard
Mm.
if you can't, you got to get up. I'm not saying it verbatim, but like,
Yeah.
just, you got it. We're with you all the way. Well, the Captain America, we're here with you to the end of the line. No pun intended. Grand
Yeah.
Line reference. Um, it was great. I remember there's like one scene, and yo, you're gonna text me when you get to this. Um, you're aware of Trafalgar Law, like that character with the doctor who could.
Hmm.
They go into his flashback, but the way this We Are One episode came out on YouTube, I was like, wow, you really gonna tug at that string again? Because his flashback, oh my good, it's so good. Like I'm getting misty eyed. You can't see it. I'm getting misty eyed right now. It's so good. Um, there are other ones like, yeah, the Vivi one, the Law one. They
Hmm.
go back to the East Blue where like all of them drink and they break the barrel. Like, and it's like, yo, you got your friends. Like, and I think one of them had to deal with like bullying. I was like, oh my god. But it's such a great way to celebrate and make One Piece aware, because I feel like One Piece is getting much more awareness. Like, it had
Hmm.
awareness and then it died down and it had more. It's like big waves. But yo, like, I can't stress enough. I'm probably gonna talk about this in every episode we do until Oda comes into this show. And I'm never gonna meet him. But he's like, to me, he's someone writing from the heavens and just dropping these books like in Death Note. He's just dropping these on Earth.
I
And
think
uh,
no good.
I don't know what to say.
I think the one of the coolest things with growing up in the, I guess, the time that we did, right? And we're
Yeah.
still growing up, but we were able to kind of like hop into these things that grew up with us, right? Like
Yes.
I feel like now as well as like before us, there weren't too many things that lasted really, really long. Like we're talking
Hmm.
about stuff that's lasted 20 something years, right?
Yeah.
Like even if we're talking about like movie franchises like we were just talking about before, like The Matrix, right? Like that came out like 20 years ago and now
Yeah.
it's coming back. And like I don't know, like TV shows, right? Like Twin Peaks, like that premiered in the 90s and then now it came back a couple years back it came out for the final season. Um I don't know, it's just like things like we've grown up and we have this crazy appreciation for them, right? And like
Yeah.
even when we talk about like Marvel and stuff like that, like we grew up in a time where like it was comic books and
Hmm.
it was cartoons, and then we were blessed with the Tobey Maguire movies, and then it kind of snowballed into more movies, and then we had the MCU, then DC kind of got in on it, right? They always had Superman, the Superman movies and stuff, but then they started to kind of like expand on everything, Batman, and then 89 and then into the 90s.
Hmm.
I don't know, I'm just it's crazy to really think about like the pop culture scene. Like pop culture has always been like a thing, right? Like everyone likes the fads and goes in with it and tries to kind of immerse themselves in what's happening, right? That's a generational thing. But within our generation, I guess the millennial one, right? Like we've grown up in a time period with like appreciation for a fandom, right? For a thing for your entire life.
Yeah.
Like One Piece has been there since you were a kid.
Hmm.
Like you said before, Pokemon has been there since you were a kid, and they keep iterating on it, and in my eyes, making it better as we go in media as well as like video games and stuff like that. But there's everything. There's movies, cartoons, video games, and like we saw stuff like that like in the 80s and stuff with like like Ghostbusters or GI
Yeah.
Joe, but it's like a flash in the pan thing. And then now, they keep going back once in a while, right? We have the GI Joe movies, we have the new Ghostbusters that's coming out. So I don't know, I think like this period of time is weird because unfortunately there's not a lot of original stuff, and
Yeah.
everything just keeps getting like recycled. But at the same time, we benefited in, like I said, growing up with these things and having these immense attachments, right? Because
Yeah.
as a young kid, right, like I was a dork and I really liked superheroes and stuff, and it was the culmination was in Endgame when I got to finally see everyone on screen and hear Captain America say Avengers Assemble. Like that was a huge moment for me. Like that
Yeah.
was, I grew up 20 some odd years loving this thing, and I got to see it in my eyes, right? Done right.
Yeah.
So I think
No.
it's
Yeah.
One Piece going for the 100th volume and the 1000th and whatever chapter. Like, it's insane, man. Almost
Yeah. It's
25 years of
uh,
a thing, of a
yeah.
story, one story.
That what I want to let the readers know. There is a time skip that happens in the series.
Hmm.
Before the time skip happens, all that media, episodes, chapters is 1 year. That's all 1 year. But if you think about it in comics, you have to talk about what the characters are thinking. That's like a common trope in anime. You got to be like, oh my God, his powers over levels are over 9,000. But that's like a millisecond of a thought that as
Yeah.
a watcher, we're like, oh, why is he not, the whole trope and stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, man, because the one thing about One Piece, that certain things can't do it today. And the only thing I can think of is like Marvel can do it because Marvel had the MCU specifically.
Hmm.
MCU has nostalgia, but it's ever growing.
Oh,
One
freaking
Piece,
speaking of nostalgia, like I have a Jurassic Park
yeah,
shirt on.
there we go. So like, yeah, like, and if, like Jurassic Park doesn't is I don't want to say ever growing because to me that's part of the recycled part because you
Hmm.
had it, it was a lightning in a bottle, and then it stops. Years later, let's show
You pick
another
it back
one.
up. Yeah.
But like MCU keeps going, One Piece keeps going.
Hmm.
But I can always say, yo, remember when Luffy did this back in, and it's just dope. So it's just a continuing thing. And to me, it's staying true.
Hmm.
And Marvel will always stay true.
Hmm.
They like the moment you recast Robert Downey Jr., I'm stopping. Because to me, he is Iron Man.
Yeah.
Black Widow, Scarlet Jack, that's Black Widow. Like the original, like keep going, keep growing your universe.
Yeah.
And like that's what One Piece does for me.
Hmm.
And like I can't say enough how much it's like I don't even want to say change my life, but like in a sense, but yeah, like be a part of it. Like certain things, like I'll like
Well, like
random
influenced
anecdote.
your life for
Yeah,
sure.
like a random anecdote. Like I'll be at the gym, and when Luffy goes gear second, I'm just like trying to pump some iron. I'm like, I can do this. Like you know all those dumb kids back in the day watching Dragon Ball Z, and then you're like, I can go Super Saiyan. You're screaming. We all did it as a kid. You cannot lie and say you did it. But that would be me. I'd be at the gym, or sometimes I feel down, and I'm like, look, this dude is always smiling. He's had some downs, but dude gets back up. And I know he has plot armor, but I don't care. He's still gonna reach his goal, and that's the point in life. We are one,
We are
and that's
one.
how I'm gonna end it. And that's how I'm gonna
Oh,
end it.
that was a good way to end that, man. Oof, that was beautiful. I like that. A lot of inspiration on that last note. Oh my gosh, got me all
Just
tingly.
get the little goosebumps, the little hairs.
Yeah, man, I loved it. All right, well, I guess That's the perfect moment to wrap it up, guys. All right. Well, this has been episode 3 of of the Average Jays. I'm Jay, Justin Ruiz,
And I'm Jay, Jeremy Francois.
and we will catch you guys on the next one.
Deuces.